Hello good friends, in this short video I will go over the fundamentals of making round bases. So as you can see I have my base sticks here, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is the thickness of the base sticks, how thick they should be. So basically the base sticks should be slightly thinner than the side stakes, than the stakes actually, or the uprights. So many times you will choose the base sticks according to the uprights that you intend to work with. Other times, what I will do many times is just pick some random thickness of base sticks, and then later on match the uprights to the thickness of my base sticks. It makes sense to me when, suppose I'm cutting off the base sticks from the butt ends of this bundle. It makes sense to me to actually use the rest of the length of these rods as the stakes, because they are in fact going to be slightly thinner than the base sticks. So now the length of the base sticks, how long should they be? This is very simple. If I want to make a base that's this big, I want my base sticks to be slightly longer than this, maybe an inch or so. I would say that the bigger the base you're going to make, if you're going to make a very large base, you are going to probably want to have some more room for error, some, to prepare some extra spare length. But for regular bases, about an inch or so should be fine. Now the thickness of, we talked about the thickness of the stakes, but we should also talk about the thickness of the weavers for the base. The weavers should always be finer than the uprights, or in this case the base sticks. Sometimes I might actually choose the base sticks according to the weavers that I have available to me, or that or the weavers that I intend on weaving the base from. If the butt end of the weavers are, as thick as the base sticks, or maybe slightly thinner, it could be fine, but they shouldn't be thicker. Before I even start constructing my base sticks, I like to go over them one by one and just straighten them like that. This will result in finer work, and it will make your job easier. Sometimes they will have a sharp curve right at the end, at the butt end, so I might actually use my pliers to try and correct this. You can also straighten your rods with your bodkin, something like this. I don't know. I never actually use it, but I think that's why why they have this hole actually. I talked about the sharp curve, and here you can really see it. Sometimes at the very end of the butt end you will have this sharp curve. So when I make the base sticks, I will just cut off this small piece at the end, and I will start from there. It will make my life easier. So so now let's begin. I like to use this piece of wood just to avoid damaging this beautiful chair. And we can basically this this is going to be a 6x6 base. So let's see how much I have here. That's 6. That's another 6. I will always like to have some spares because you never know. Some of them might be damaged. Some of them might get ruined when you slice them open. So have at least 2 spares. So we are going to take half of our base sticks, in this case 6, and we are going to slice them open. We can do this either with a bodkin or with a knife. I myself am more used to doing it with a bodkin. So you can measure, at least measure the first one if you want, but usually I just like to kind of eyeball this, and you know, shouldn't be a problem. If I talked about straightening the base sticks, but many times even after you straighten them up, they might have a slight curve, and I would slice them when they are laying on their side. If they have a curve, I will slice them like this and not like this or like this. And later on you will see why. So let's just find our middle here. I like to keep the bodkin on top of the surface and just pick up the sticks themselves. If I think that the space is not wide enough, I might pull on it to both sides a little bit. But it's very important to not get the opening too wide, because you can always always make it wider, but you cannot make it, you know, smaller after it got opened too much. So now let's do all the rest. And actually what we can do is this is not really in the middle. Suppose we've measured the first one, we can actually then use it as a reference point for all the rest, like this. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Alright, usually I don't do this. I just put the red ones on the sides and I just like to eyeball this, and I find that it works nicely for me. This will be the third one. Let's just widen the space a little bit. Now let's try with the knife, see what that's like. All right. Perfect. 2 important things about threading. The first thing is the curve, and let's see how that works. I will start by inserting one rod through another, and I want to make sure that the curve in both the first group and the second group is facing downwards. So here it appears that there is a slight curve towards this direction, so I'm going to do it like this. So this is about the curve. The second thing is alternation. So if this, I don't even know which side is the butt end. I think this side here is the butt end. So now I'm going to thread the next one with the butt end facing towards the other way. Yeah. So This is alternation. This means that if you have, you know, a weaker, thinner end, next to it you will have a stronger end, and it will alternate like this and result in a finer and more even base. If I find that it's hard to open the space, I might use a bodkin or a knife. Here I think it's pretty easy for me to do it by hand, so I'm just doing it like this. Now if I find that I've inserted or threaded one of the sticks with the curve to the wrong side, I might just flip it like this, and this should be this should solve it. Now this, I think this is a thin end, so the next one is going to be a butt end. Perfect. And a tip end. Alright, so now once we've done this, and once we've flipped all of the sticks to the right direction, we can start threading the rest of the group, and also we are going to thread them in an alternation. So what I like to do is I like to insert it all the way to the middle, and then I will start inserting from the thinner end of the stick. So if this is the thinner end, I will thread like this. I think here, this is a butt end, so I will thread like this, and then the next one, this is a thinner end, I will thread like this. Alright, hard to tell which side is the butt end here, so in this case it doesn't really matter, I guess, but as a general principle, I like to always do it, and you should get used to always alternate sides. And this is a tip, so this is going to be a butt end. But actually, now I will also want to make sure that if this here is a tip end, I will want to have a butt end here. So here, since I have tip and tip, I will insert a butt end here on this side, and this should solve everything perfectly. Now, after I've inserted the last one, I will find the middle, and I will also direct this group so that the curve faces downwards. Another thing that I like to pay attention to, not always, but many times I will pay attention to it, because it really makes a finer base, is to have the thickest, if there is a slight difference in thickness, I will have the thickest sticks on the middle, and the finest sticks on the sides, especially in the group that sits within the other group, because then they will sit inside the opening in the best way. Here, this rod is quite thicker than this one, so this one might be actually a little loose. Some of the sticks in the middle might be a little loose, so that's why I like to do it like this. Alright, so I think we got everything ready, and we can actually start weaving.